Howard Owens has another Emmy nomination this year for producing the documentary Hillary. I'm Riley Chow of Gold Derby. Now, I understand that you had somewhere from 1,600 to 2,000 hours of footage from 2016. How did this land at your doorstep?
I connected, with Hillary and her team through their attorney, Bob Barnett. Bob Barnett's a real DC connector. He and I worked together. I used to do, in a previous relationship around content. Bob represented Jack Welch and Susie Welch. And so I got to know Bob, and when the opportunity came up for Hillary, that she had all of this awesome footage from the campaign, he thought that Hillary and I should meet, and that maybe there would be a creative match between us.
And what did you consider doing with it at the start?
At the start, the initial idea was to do a film around the campaign. I think that we really wanted to do more than the campaign from the beginning, though. We wanted to tell the story of this dimensional woman, politician, statesperson, United States Senator, First Lady. And, we wanted to kind of tell this story that about Hillary Clinton that, you didn't know. And I think it's so funny because so many people today still say, oh, people who watch it say they love it. People who don't watch it sometimes say, well, I already know all there is to know, and I don't need to watch anything else on Hillary Clinton. Because she's been in the public eye for 40 plus years. I think people have a sense of, they think they know who she is. And I think to a degree, the filmmakers, we also did, and we were continually surprised.
I feel like I was not so much surprised by that things happened that are depicted in the film. I just didn't feel like I knew all the specifics of her journey. What surprised you?
What did surprise me? I was surprised by a lot. I mean, I didn't know as much. I wasn't familiar that she was the daughter of a Goldwater Republican. I didn't know that she began her, quote unquote political career as the head of the Republican Party at her college. I wasn't as familiar with her tenure. Volunteering on Watergate and being so close to kind of the power structure there. Really the list goes on, to tell you the truth. There were a lot of things that I thought that I knew, and I really didn't know that much about her. And I think that's sort of one of the special. Yeah, I guess also how, prepared she was, and how there were things that I presume she was that I found out were true as well. So that was cool. But just, I gained new respect for her through the process. And also just, from a perspective of, working or, interacting with Secretary Clinton around the film. She told us she would give us really unlimited access. She told us that she wouldn't have, any involvement in the editorial of the film. She told us that she'd let us make the film that we wanted to. And, over the process of 2+ years, she was true to that. And so that was exciting. I think that I had kind of thought in my mind that she and her team were sort of very controlling, and that they were going to be, try to be controlling, if you will, and that was never the case. It was very, very much, what they had agreed to with us from the beginning was what they ultimately ended up doing.
I feel like with a lot of documentaries, they document a subject, and it doesn't necessarily matter what the filmmaker's opinions of that subject are. In this case, I'm not saying it manifested here either, but I feel like with this particular documentary, it'd be hard to get people to work on it who weren't aligned with, Hillary and her principles. Do you agree with that assessment?
I don't think that we sought to get people to work on the film who didn't like Hillary. But we also weren't looking for acolytes. You know, we also weren't looking for people who just loved Hillary and so forth. I think that by the time we got working on this film, or we started the process of working on the film in late 2017, Hillary was not a particularly popular figure in American politics. And even if people liked Hillary, they were genuinely either disappointed that she lost, very upset potentially for her that Donald Trump was now the president, upset with her because Donald J. Trump was now the president. So, no, we weren't looking for people who were Hillary lovers, and Nanette had an admiration for Hillary, as did Ben and myself, but we also thought we knew Hillary better than we did and set out to tell a film that could really explain her and could really get to the bottom of Hillary. And we were doing it in a way because we also wanted to get to the bottom of her. We also wanted to see if we missed anything, to see where our beliefs were confirmed. And so, yeah, I mean, we weren't looking just to do a pro Hillary piece by any means.
What did you see in Nanette Burstein that made her your choice or a choice as the director of this film?
Well, first of all, she's a tremendous filmmaker, and is known for being a great storyteller that tackles complex characters. I felt that Nanette gave us the best chance for Hillary to open up and for Hillary to express herself in the most real and authentic way. I thought that was a priority for any, a beginning priority to make this film a success, was that Hillary had to have some connection with the filmmaker, and some respect for the filmmaker. And I think, just watching Nanette and Hillary hit it off and communicate and connect, I just instinctually thought that Nanette was well suited for it. And they didn't spend that much time together. It was purely professional. The only time they spent together after their initial meeting was during the interview. So it's not like, they weren't friends or anything like that. But I think that Nanette understands politics and understands history. She's an intellectual. Her husband's a journalist. I felt, had the bona fides to be able to connect with Hillary and get Hillary to reach inside and to tell her story in a way that had never been told. And thankfully, I was right.
You've got more of an extensive background as an entertainment executive than people I normally interview. You've got your production company, Propagate Content. You used to be president of National Geographic channels, moving them into the Emmy game with their scripted fiction programming. I'm wondering, how much input do you have on something like Hillary when it comes to structuring it in terms of, mashing up the campaign footage with, all the background and also the interviews?
Different projects require different levels of work. On this project, it was truly pretty clear from the beginning that Nanette had a vision and was developing a vision for this. And at some point, a good producer's job is to know when to get out of the way and let the magic occur. And I think, I certainly had a vision for this. I believed that Nanette did, and Nanette proved that she did, and way more. So at the point where this was being structured and put together, Nanette kind of took it over, and we respected that, and our respect was was correctly warranted. She really delivered, and we expected that. But Nanette really did the heavy lifting in terms of the craftsmanship. And on this, I'd say we, Ben and I block and tackled more. And again, we dealt with the deal making. Our production company was the production company that made it, with Nanette, and Ben and I did anything we could do to help Nanette. And there were a lot of logistics and a lot of different people to track down for interviews, and there was a very long production period. And so, we had to work really closely with Hulu. Total fairness to Hulu, they went above and beyond and gave us as much time as we needed to make this, and incredibly respective of the creative process and collaborative. And, without them, I don't think we would have had near the success that we ended up having.
Yeah, tell me about the timing of the release of the miniseries on Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, the film was basically, we were kind of finishing it and completing it right up to Sundance, so right up till the end of January. The goal was they wanted it out, I think in the spring, I think because it was ready. COVID hadn't come up yet, so that really wasn't an issue. But the real issue was we didn't want to get lost in the talk of the primaries. And Hillary and Hillary's team didn't want it to appear that we were interfering or competing with attention from the candidates who were in the primaries. So that was kind of like a macro issue that we were all sensitive to. I think that, and then we had the other factor, which Hulu has their biggest viewership generally in March. Statistically, I think, I don't know if it's statistically, but I think Hulu looked at March as a very opportune time from what else they had coming out, including Handmaids, and some other projects they had been working on that seemed to work very well. Late February, March seemed to work well. And so we thought that it ultimately made sense to, instead of trying to guess the political winds and the media, where the media was going to be and what the buzz of the day was going to be and how we're going to deal with news cycles and things like that. It was ultimately decided the best thing was to go where Hulu felt they had the best chance to reach the biggest audience. And so we got on board for that. And that was, really, determined by a date by Hulu that worked for them. And I think, in retro, I think it was a good choice. I think they rolled it out incredibly well. And I think it was fortuitous that we got it out prior to COVID.
As we wrap up, what is the story of Hillary Clinton to you?
The story of Hillary Clinton to me is, a change agent and a fighter, and someone who was someone who wanted to make a difference, and someone who wanted to give back to their country, and someone who fought to do so, and along the way became probably the person who tries to burst through the glass ceiling takes all the shards and takes a lot of pain and gets a lot of scar tissue. And I think Hillary did all those things, but I think along the way, she proved to be a great role model for emerging leaders everywhere, not just women, but men, and people who aspire to have a life that makes a difference, and to live a life that has impact. And in that she did, and it was controversial, and it was a roller coaster, but I'm incredibly proud of our affiliation with Hillary, our ability to make this film with Nanette and Hulu. And thank you very much, Riley.
Yeah, Howard, thanks very much for taking the time to chat. Okay, great, thanks.
It's good to talk to you. Talk to you soon, okay?